Let's recap ionic and covalent bonding using these two very cute cartoons. But before that, let's do a recap. So it's good to remember or recall why the atoms or the elements even want to go through bonding. So remember, the greatest goal of all is that these atoms want to achieve the stable electronic configuration. What does that mean? That means that on its valence electron shell, the outermost electron shell, they want to have it entirely filled, right? They want to have a completely filled valence electron shell. So in order to achieve that, they can do one of two ways. They can either do ionic bonding or covalent bonding. Okay, so let's look at ionic bonding first. Now in this very cute cartoon, you would notice, okay, maybe let's color code this. So the yellow atom, it looks like it's proposing to the blue atom with a ring, right? So this yellow atom is going to be losing a ring, whereas the blue atom is going to be gaining a ring. So what is ionic bonding? So in ionic bonding, atoms will achieve the stable electronic configuration by either gaining or losing some electrons. Sometimes it can be just one electron, like in this case. Sometimes it can be more than one electrons, depending on the atom itself. Okay, so I'm going to put a bracket S, right? So in this case, which of these atoms are gaining or losing electrons, right? So this yellow atom that's giving away the one ring, that means he is actually losing electrons. Whereas this very sheepish blue atom here, he is gaining one electron. Okay, so what type of atoms undergo ionic bonding? So atoms that will lose electrons are the metal atoms. So what are the metal atoms specifically? The metal atoms refer to all the group 1, group 2, and group 3 atoms, as well as some of the transition metals. So where are these atoms or elements found inside the periodic table? If you go to your periodic table, this would refer to everything in group 1, everything in group 2, everything in group 3, as well as this block over here. So this block over here are called the transition metals. So let's take the example of one of the more popular metal atoms, right? So let's say I have sodium. Sodium is a metal atom because it is in group 1. That means it has one valence electron. So it is going to lose one of these electrons in order to gain the stable electronic configuration. When it loses one electron, it becomes positively charged. So this is the same for all these metal atoms, right? Once they lose electrons, or once they lose their valence electrons, right? Sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. So those in group 1 will have one valence electron. Group 2 has two valence electrons. Group 3 has three valence electrons. When they lose the valence electrons, they will become positively charged, or what we call cations. Basically, cations are positively charged ions. So Na plus is a cation, right? Now, on the other hand, what are the types of atoms that will gain electrons? These are the atoms that are the non-metal atoms. Okay, in the periodic table, this refers to some of the elements in groups 5, 6, as well as 7. So one of the popular non-metal atoms you know is oxygen. Oxygen is in group 6 of the periodic table. That means it has 6 valence electrons. With 6 valence electrons, it will need 2 more, so it's going to gain 2 electrons on its valence shell and become negatively charged. So unlike the metal atoms in front, right, these non-metal atoms, they will gain electrons, okay, and then in process, they will become negatively charged ions called anions. Alright, so that's all for ionic bonding. Now let's take a look at covalent bonding. Now when it comes to covalent bonding, if you take a look at this very cute diagram here, let's also color code it, okay? So maybe this purple atom, take a look at what he's doing. He is giving one of its electron to the orange atom. And at the same time, the orange atom is also giving one electron to the purple atom. So what happens in covalent bonding? Basically, covalent bonding occurs when atoms gain the stable electronic configuration by sharing electrons. So in this very cute cartoon, you would see these two atoms, this purple and this orange atom, it is sharing a pair of electrons. So what type of atoms undergo covalent bonding? So both of these atoms have to be non-metals. What do non-metals mean? That means they have to be either group 4, group 5, group 6 or group 7. Okay, taking a look at the periodic table, that means everything highlighted in pink, group 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the atoms that can undergo covalent bonding. Alright, so now here is another thing that I will leave you with before we end this video. So in this case, the orange atom is sharing one of its electron, and then the purple atom is sharing one of its electron. So if we take a look at how we draw covalent bonding later, you would be focusing at the overlapping circles. So this is where the electrons are being shared. Okay, so like in this diagram, you would see that these two atoms, the purple and the red atoms, they are sharing one electron each. Okay, so that means they're sharing a total of 2 electrons, one electron each. So when this happens, we can say a single covalent bond is formed. However, there are also instances where not just one electron is shared by each of the atom. So I'm going to show you another possibility. So in this case, I have let's color code this as well. I have one of the green atom. This green atom could be sharing 2 electrons, and then I have another one, so maybe this yellow atom here, it is sharing 2 of its own electrons. So in this case, yes, these two atoms are still sharing electrons. However, each of the atoms are sharing 2 electrons each, right? You see this green atom is sharing 2 electrons, and the yellow the yellow atom is sharing 2 electrons each as well. So in this case, we would say that a double covalent bond is formed. So we will explore this concept again when we look at organic chemistry in secondary 4.